From the master of style and suspense, let's please give a warm round of applause to Robert S. Levinson.
Hey! That's it. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks, Shylock, for indulging me once again. It's just a great bookstore which deserves your patronage. As usual, forgive what I'm going through with speech, but if I can endure it, so can you. No, water does not help. Nothing helps. This is it. This is it. Last year when we did this, I was too nervous about doing a reading from the book, and my dear friend Joe Sutton filled in. And I figured, after the fact, if Joe could do it, maybe I could do it. So I've been practicing. My thought is, I'll read you a little something from the book. You'll try to understand what I'm saying. When I'm through with that, we'll do a Q&A. If you have any Q's, I'll probably either have the A's or lie about it.
As long as it sounds good.
Pardon me?
As long as it sounds good.
How else would it sound? And how's that? Does everybody approve of the plan? Yes. All right. Then, as you know, the doors are now locked, and you head out only if you buy a book. But there's no pressure. Okay. Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
Ready.
The Stardom Affair. Slowline Hot Roddy by Neil Gulliver. It was a long time ago, more than a decade ago, a lifetime ago, several lifetimes, in a galaxy not so far away from anything but the real world, Hollywood by name, showbiz capital of the solar system, where the movie stars are also famous for confusing themselves with the center of the universe. Roddy Donaldson, for example, movie star supreme, he of the sunshine smile, Roddy Donaldson, acknowledged leader of the Diapered Dozen, the bumper crop of teenage movie stars whose every nose-picking escapade routinely sold trillions of copies of the weekly tabloid scandal sheets that turned supermarket checkout counters into libraries for our gossip-drenched society. Roddy Donaldson, People Magazine's choice as Sexiest Man of the Year 2 years running, whose adoring armada of young and not-so-young female fans, the heralded Rod Squad, staged a mass protest demonstration at Grauman's Chinese the year he lost the glittering crown to Sean Connery. Roddy Donaldson. The guest insider said Johnny Carson wanted most before he willingly disappeared into the anonymity of retirement and tracked down by phone with a personal invitation. Not Johnny's usual MO, something he did about as often as he forgot to tap his coffee mug. That Roddy Donaldson. The guest Entertainment Tonight's Mary Hart, who reported breathlessly the night after Roddy's appearance how Carson had compared the young man's hauntingly blue eyes with the violet majesty of Miss Elizabeth Taylor's royal haze, and went on to ask, how blue are they? They are so blue, Paul Newman checked himself into the Betty Ford clinic with a case of eyeball deprivation. Nobody laughed louder than Roddy, and what a laugh. Appreciative, ingratiating, as frisky as his Cuisinart voice. 19-year-old Roddy, reveling in the fun and attention with graciousness and the public good manners that supposedly had gone away with the old star system. Somebody had taught him well. Show your dazzling orthodonture, pose for the photographs, sign the autographs, do the endless premieres, benefits, fundraisers, and personal appearances, even the sporadic opening of a manhole cover, to remind the fans how much you appreciate them. So there'll be understanding of your occasional bummers, the infrequent dark moods and bad moments that can't be hidden from a world media that covers scandal the way chimps relish bananas. The media sponsored an international headline festival after I found those two girls sprawled out naked and in bed with Roddy, underage and overdosed, their static eyes singing the too late blues, dead, murdered. Lifeless coming attractions for more death, what the movie business refers to as trailers, before a climax and shattering of any of those in the films that brought an easy early stardom to Roddy Donaldson. Death in the real world of Hollywood, where hundreds of people arrive every day to live out their stardust fantasies, unaware Hollywood is actually a town where dreams come to die. All those years ago, the night I found the girls dead and Roddy clinging to life in his apartment, climaxed the kind of day that, had it been a pack of cigarettes, would have come with a warning label. More than 10 years ago, but the details as vivid as ever whenever I think back to Stardom House, and so much else unthinkable that began and ended with Roddy Donaldson, the stuff of nightmares that continue to haunt me. More?
Yeah.
Author. Read the whole book.
God. This is now chapter 2, Hygiene, abridged. What kind of a day was it, you ask? Don't ask. I remember how among 5 calls and 3 hang-ups when I arrived home to my condo in Westwood was one logged around 10 o'clock from the Heathcliff Arms resident manager, Sharon Glenn. There was an unusual urgency in her chronically calm voice, which resembles the sound I imagine somebody would make buttering a pane of glass. Neil, it's Sharon. Call me back, please, no matter what time you hear this. Okay? Okay, call me back. I punched in her number on the automatic dial. Sharon answered with my name before the first ring finished. I said, not too late? I said so, no, she said, sounding relieved at hearing my voice. Before I could ask, she said, it's Roddy Donaldson again. Of course. Roddy's mother has been after me for the last 2 hours to go over and check up on him. I don't want to do anything without you, you know? I know. As well I should have. Roddy Donaldson. There were a half dozen or so recognizable celebrities at the Heathcliff, including a former sitcom regular and a 2-time All-America on Bruins teams that went to the Rose Bowl back-to-back and got clobbered front to rear by Ohio State and Michigan State. But Roddy was the only movie star. In this town, that's like the pearl in the oyster. The entrance directory listed him by name of the character he played in a lush remake of Captain Courageous, opposite the illustrious Brian Armstrong. Armstrong in the role that won a second Oscar for Spencer Tracy. Lush remake. How Freudian a choice of word. Shortly after Roddy moved in about 8 or 9 months ago, Sharon learned the kid was an alcoholic, certified and chronic. A kid who couldn't handle one step, much less try for 12, but discreet in his staggering. Savvy enough to avoid being spotted by other residents and abetted by our building security guards, who guided him upstairs and through the right doors like they were auditioning for a part in Roddy's next Buddy movie. The first time the kid's mother called, asking Sharon to check out the apartment and confirm Roddy's presence, Sharon discovered him half on and half off his bed in a stupor, smelling like a distillery, using his puke for a pillow. She was on the phone to me immediately. We got the kid cleaned up, and again the next time, and several times after that. It became obvious without Melba Donaldson telling us that her megabucks movie star son was 19, going on early liver problems. Last Christmas, as an expression of her gratitude, Mrs. Donaldson sent Sharon a gift basket containing VHS copies of all his movies. Her note, hand-printed in large capital letters on an embossed note card that reeked of money as well as perfume, said, "Thanks for keeping your eyes open." Had it been a larger card, she might easily have added, "and your mouth shut." One early morning alert, Sharon found Roddy snoring off a hangover with a small American flag dragging at half-mast from his cock. I admired Roddy's patriotism, but all Sharon could think to do was blush. That's one reason I keep getting Sharon's calls asking me to join her and go inside the apartment first, like what's happening now. I pushed outside and said, "I'll meet you at your place in 2 minutes." 2 minutes? Great, Neil. Neil? Yes? Thank you. You're welcome. I mean it, Neil. Thank you. I mean it too. You're welcome. Does that mean we're friends again? Sharon let the question marinate for several moments before answering with one of her own. Were we ever never friends? "I'll see you in 2 minutes," I said. End of reading. The last chapter, the end. Yeah. All right, where do we go from here, folks?
I'd like to hear more about the seduction scene in page 150.
The book gets grittier as it goes along, and Roddy sets out with help finally from, when Neil sets out with help from Stevie to find what really happened in that bedroom. And it just gets uglier and uglier as he goes, as he circles areas of Hollywood, meets up with people he might not have known before, and it leads him to the people who are responsible for that crime and maybe others. How's that for page 150?
Yes.
Joe?
When you write a book, do you start writing on page 1, or do you have a book laid out in your mind?
No, I start on page 7 and work my way back. Yeah, no, I have a sense of how the book might end. but that's as close as I come to plotting. Everything is gut. From basically the first sentence to the last. My attitude has always been, I've said this before, I want to be constantly surprised. If I am, I know the reader will be. Sometimes, very often, I write myself into a corner, and it's just really trying to get out. But when I do, it's great relief and a pleasure.
You've written so many books. Where does page one come from?
An idea. This was. I don't want to say easier, but I didn't have as much of a problem as I do sometimes when I'm saying, what am I going to write next? Because I've done 9 standalones, and here I was saying I've got to go back to characters I haven't written about for over 10 years, loved very much, used them in a few short stories, and over all this period of time, people I don't want to say crowds, people who have turned out for a sign have said, when are you going to bring back Neil and Stevie? And it never stopped. And finally I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I knew who my leads were in the story, and I just played off that. The other thing was, I just really hate writing contemporary times, because then I'm trapped with technology and the cell phone and all this stuff that it's just difficult to work into a story, difficult for me. So I set it back in time. It's not quite a prequel. It's not a matter of reading this leading into the other stories. It's something that happened at an earlier time, and I've left that space, if I opt to do another Neil and Stevie, where I can start filling it in. In other words, if you hadn't read the first 4 books and were interested, this book would not be a problem in terms of ruining anything that came later. Tom? Stanley?
Is there always at least one character in each book based on all the wonderful people, the nasty people you have to deal with in this time?
How do you take the Fifth Amendment? Yeah, it's more than one character, Stanley. Other than integrating stuff that I survived in my years in rock and roll, I have a tendency to borrow real people and turn them into fictional characters. I guess it's safe to say now that the Heathcliff Arms, where the story opens and where Neil has lived through all the books, is based on the condo in Westwood where my wife has worked for a quarter century. Location, number of residents and so forth. There are a lot of celebrities who have come and gone from that place, because they move in, they score big, they move out. They move in, they don't score big, they move out. And this particular character, who shall go nameless, actually lived in the building. Didn't murder anybody, wasn't involved with him, but the concept of the character who was young and an alcoholic is legitimate. I don't think you'll get to it was, unless you were part of the scene. Even then you won't. I think that answers the question. Yeah. Over answers. Yeah.
I know when I read a book sometimes I miss the characters after I finish the book. Do you miss your characters after you finish writing?
You mean the characters?
Yeah, I miss, sometimes I wonder what happened to them after the story was over, I speculate.
Well, what happens is they move on to the next book. It's something, it was a personal thing with us. The 4 books did well. Neil and Stevie I love, and obviously continue to love. But there were other stories and other themes I felt I wanted to write. And the standalones gave me that freedom, because there's no way that I might have integrated those characters into the stories I was telling. I think the book I'm playing with now it involves Neil and Stevie, but it brings them together with a character who figured in one of my standalones, and in a couple of short stories that I had done for Ellery Queen and Alfred Hitchcock. He's a fellow who had been an LAPD detective and was hired away to be Louis B. Mayer's honcho head man at MGM. So here again, I've had the latitude of playing with Neil and Stevie and doing more in the area of the golden age of Hollywood. Is that it?
Bobby,
Yeah,
when would you say?
Bobby, my sister. Juliet.
When would you say the golden age of Hollywood ceased?
After the 50s. The 60s, it was either waning or gone.
It was.
Yeah. It starts really in the 30s and moves forward. But frankly, I don't know who half the stars are nowadays. I think they're all named Chris. But that's almost the extent of my knowledge. The movies that they used to make, they don't make anymore.
No more.
Proof to that is Turner Movie Classics. You see it and you recognize that, gee, I love that movie. They could never do it today. And it's sad but true.
They don't write the songs either. They don't write the songs anymore either.
No kidding. Story on myself. I used to deliver a lecture once a year at UCLA to a music class. And so this particular year, which goes back quite a way, I was introduced, it was my time up there, and I talked about music. And when I went to Q&A, somebody said, "What do you think of rap?" I said, "It'll last a year, maybe." Which goes to show you just how astute I am. I should have said, music will last about a year. But see, that's my prejudice. And yet I feature rap in a couple of the books. And I can't explain that. But when I say I feature rap, I feature the people who are in rap and being very successful at it, both running record labels and as radio jocks. Yes?
Bob, I'm going to ask you a question I asked you over 10 years ago, and you never answered it. When Elvis and Marilyn came on, I said your partner was Graylin Landon, who was Elvis's best friend.
For 26 years.
Was there any relationship to reality to that book?
And I didn't answer you? How dare you? Heavens to Betsy. And I hardly know Betsy. Well, In the sense that Elvis existed, yes, and Marilyn existed, and the fact that I became friends during a period of time with Harry Brand, who ran publicity at Fox and was intimately involved with Marilyn and with Elvis when he was there making his first movie. So let's just say I drew on certain events that I knew. All right?
Okay.
See you in 10 years. Yeah. That reminds me. I was putting stuff together for tonight, practicing my pronunciation, and I came across this, which was a promotional booklet that the publisher knocked out in support of that first book. It has the first chapter. And I was surprised because I had forgotten about it. What I did remember after the fact is that was the end of the publisher's promotional support. And I can't say it's gotten better over the years. It's really, it's tougher and tougher for an author to sell books, in part because there are fewer and fewer places he can go to sell his books. And it's a shame because brick and mortar stores are really the backbone of the business. And it's why I do everything I can to steer people here as opposed to going online and ordering that way. Although I recognize that's a fact of life, and I just have to live with it. Who wants to say anybody? It's free.
You keep this for yours.
The young lady back, Terry, is yours. No, Terry. Jose, sorry.
I have the book.
What?
I'll be the gentleman.
I'll let him read it.
Oh.
On the way.
I won't show it.
I have the book. What is that?
I'm just trying to get it back to her.
The buck doesn't stop there.
Wait, why's Terry getting the special things?
I raised my hand.
Wow.
Where were you?
I'm taking pictures, saying hi to
Oh.
people.
Why don't you have your daughter teach you how to tweet a little bit more on your Twitter account?
I don't tweet.
Well, you
I don't know how.
account. She's fairly good at it, not as good as me, of course,
Hell yes.
but you could do a lot better.
Speaking of Facebook,
You do great on Facebook. You could just extend that to, as a matter of fact, you could feed your one of your Facebook accounts directly to Twitter.
Every
without
3
any.
months he does ask us what his Twitter password is.
You can save it.
then I don't know what to do. I neglected to mention it earlier, and I would be very remiss if I didn't say thank you, Dandy Don Whittemore, for the ice cream, for your presence. That ice cream is the best in the West. And he's gone from being a great promotion man of music to being a great ice cream maker. And you brought home the bacon?
Bacon avocado,
Yeah.
bacon caramel,
You hear that?
chocolate,
Ice cream, 2 types of ice creams with bacon.
bacon caramel,
Yes, bacon caramel.
bacon avocado,
Sounds like 2 characters in a book.
vanilla bean, and a bunch of other ones.
Yeah. You were just too generous, and I thank you very much.
We're just all fans of yours, and that's why we do what we do, because we believe in what you're doing. And it's believed in what you're doing for a long, long, long time.
If I start introducing familiar faces, we'll be here all night. Gene I've known forever. Tom I've known almost forever. Spence I've known forever and a day. Joe Sutton, dear Joe, I've known. Stanley I've known for decades. I've been very fortunate. I don't mind admitting it. I've gone from one career to another. Some people can't hold a job. I can't hold a career. But it's given me the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people I may not have come in contact with. That's it. I'm done unless somebody wants to undo me. Thank you all for being here.
You've been listening to the Skylight Books author reading series. Don't forget you can listen to this and all our other great podcasts at skylightbooks.com. Thanks again for stopping by, and we hope to see you soon.